Thank you, Cairn. Minister, I suppose just to change direction for a few minutes. This week has seen the culmination of Fine Gael's and your government's incompatibility with industrial relations in this country and their blatant disregard for workers' rights. You have refused to engage with the INMO on issues of pay and recruitment in the health sector, and this indignant act has forced nurses to rightly protest for better working conditions. You refuse to meet with the NAJP on issues such as much-needed investment in the GP sector, particularly in the case of rural Ireland. You refuse to meaningfully engage with the Psychiatric Nurses Association over pay and conditions, and refuse to even recognise the union of choice for ambulance staff and their National Ambulance Service Representative Association. They don't even have a chance to meet with your government on key issues of concern. So, Minister, even your agencies refuse to engage, and in some cases even recognise unions as well. Oireachtas na Gaeltachta last week announced a year-on-year increase in job creation figures for 2018, which is welcomed. 156 of those jobs were created in my own constituency of Donegal. However, a question remains over the quality of these jobs created by employers that either refuse to engage with unions or simply refuse to recognise union membership at all. For example, last year I supported workers at Rapid Action Packaging in Gweedore, County Donegal, and they had voted overwhelmingly in favour of industrial action in a ballot taken by SIPTU Trade Union due to the continued rejection by management of the company to recognise the workers' union. This company and many more were given grants by Oireachtas na Gaeltachta, a state agency using state money, our money, taxpayers' money. To this day, there is no way we can ensure employers are respecting workers' rights because the imbalance of power benefits the employer in this regard. And this, through Oireachtas na Gaeltachta funding, is being reinforced by this government. I believe that it's time now that union recognition is granted once and for all to all workers in this country and not left to the discretion of employers. It should be the case that in 2019 that Oireachtas na Gaeltachta makes it a precondition for companies to recognise workers' union of choice before grants can be issued to that company. It's not enough to create jobs. They have to be good quality jobs with the appropriate conditions attached, including mandatory trade union recognition by the employer. So my question to you, Minister, is will the government commit to making state agencies such as Oireachtas na Gaeltachta impose a precondition for companies seeking grants to recognise trade unions representing future workers of that company?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Diagwit Chuck Dala Pringle Gurab Magath for your question. Your question, of course, raises a very significant issue, particularly, and I will say, I think what you're asking for is a substantial, I suppose, policy change in relation to our current ways of operating in terms of unions and industrial relations. I understand the question. I am in sympathy with where you come from in that regard. But it is correct to say that Oireachtas na Gaeltachta, and they have confirmed that they have currently, and under our current legislation, no statutory role, contracted or implied, to undertake any role in assisting or intervening or monitoring industrial relations between a private company and their employees, or to make any statement in such an instance either. I think you're aware that it is the practice of any enterprise agency in the country that to undertake such a role or to include conditions in regards for union recognition to support grants, that it would not be appropriate to undertake the same. So I suppose in short, that is the nub of the answer to the question, the issue that you raise, as of for now. I guess I am also saying that I do understand your point, a very, again, made with great strength and persuasion, and particularly in relation to where you reside, the importance of not just creating jobs, but quality jobs, and the possibility of the ways in which an acknowledgement, or companies needing to acknowledge unions or to recognize unions, that could contribute to higher quality jobs, even better pay and conditions. So I do understand understand that. And so I acknowledge that I think it's very helpful for you to raise this issue now in the context of the report of the agency, which is very positive, as you've identified, and there are many other aspects in terms of the excellent aspects of their work. So it is a good time. It is a good time to raise it, but effectively, there's no legal obligation on an employer in this country at present to negotiate with a union on behalf of an employee member unless previously agreed. This doesn't prevent a dispute about trade union recognition from being a lawful dispute either. I'll leave it there.
Pringle.
Sir, I take on board what you're saying, that the current policy is that there's no right to recognise a union. But the fact is, who doesn't Gaeltacht represent? Who are they supposed to represent? Who are they supposed to look after? They're supposed to look after the people all living in the Gaeltacht. And that involves all aspects of not only providing them with jobs, but also providing with them the right to actually defend themselves and talk to their employers in a fair manner and in a manner that's based in equality. Because what we have is agencies like Udas na Gaeltacht and other employment agencies are giving money to these employers to provide jobs, and then saying to the people that work there, good luck to you, you can look after yourselves, you have to defend yourselves, and we're having nothing to do with it. But we'll give all the money to the employers and let them do what they want. And that's not right, and that's not recognising the situation that workers are in. And we represent those people as well as representing Udas na Gaeltacht, and we should be making things accommodating them so that they can do their work properly. And it's not about creating strikes or creating conflict or anything else. It's about creating fairness so that workers can have their rights recognised, and that should be the work of all government agencies, including Udas na Gaeltacht.
Minister.
First of all, what I hear as part of your argument is that there effectively is a power imbalance without the possibility of union recognition. Not unlike, the issue that you raised and what I've already said. I am in sympathy with that. I understand that. Secondly, I think that you're also, in terms of your supplementary, beginning to make the argument that it's possible that because that the Gaeltacht regions and our commitment and desire to support their development and the need to offer additional supports in that regard, that this is something that perhaps should be taken account. If it is taken account of, then this could be the place to begin. So I understand that as well. I guess, again, may I say that obviously that's clearly not the policy now, the law now, but I would be very happy, if you wish, to ask Minister Humphreys to engage with you further in relation to this issue.
Thank you very much.